Hello, my name is Luke Stoltz. I'm a junior at the University of Kentucky and a business management and marketing major. The issue that I'm going to be addressing today is the state approval of marijuana for medical use. Along with this, I'll be addressing whether this is legal according to federal statutes and what issues are involved in approving the medical marijuana. I hope that after watching this video you have a better understanding of the uses of medical marijuana, along with the reasoning behind legalizing or not legalizing. There are currently 23 states that legally allow the use of medicinal marijuana, along with Washington, D.C. As you see, the amount that is allowed to be possessed and grown varies from state to state, so there's not a universal amount of medical marijuana that you can have in your possession at any one time. The first state that allowed for medical marijuana was California in 1996. The rest of America was hesitant to follow suit at first, but just 2 years later, in 1998, 3 more states decided to legalize this drug. 18 years later, Maryland, Minnesota, and New York decided to follow suit and become the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd states to legalize it in 2014. If you live in a state where medical marijuana is legal and your doctor thinks it would help, you'll get a marijuana card. You'll be put on a list that allows you to buy marijuana from an authorized seller, called a dispensary. So as of now, there is just under half of the states in the U.S. that have legalized this product. It seems as if the number is increasing nearly every year. But how did medical marijuana show up on the scene in America? What is it used for? Is it really a beneficial medicine or just a potential legal way for people to get high? Well, in 1976, the federal government created the Investigational New Drug, IND, Compassionate Access Research Program to allow patients to receive up to 9 pounds of cannabis from the government each year for things such as HIV/AIDS, cancer, and some other specific diseases. In 1988, the DEA's chief administrative law judge, Francis L. Young, ruled after extensive hearings that marijuana in its natural form is one of the safest therapeutically active substances known. It would be unreasonable, arbitrary, and capricious for the DEA to continue to stand between those sufferers and the benefits of this substance. But the DEA was not sold on this item yet. In June 1991, the Public Health Service announced that the program that was established in 1976 would be suspended because it undermined federal prohibition. In 1996, patients and advocates turned to the state level for access, passing voter initiatives in California and Arizona that allowed for legal use of cannabis with a doctor's recommendation. After seeing this, many other states started to join California and Arizona in legalizing medical marijuana. In 1997, the Office of National Drug Control Policy commissioned the Institute of Medicine, or IOM, to conduct a comprehensive study of the medical efficacy of cannabis therapeutics. The IOM concluded in 1990 that cannabis is a safe and effective medicine, patients should have access, and the government should expand avenues for research and drug development. Today, there are starting to be more and more alleyways for marijuana to come into each state. Medical marijuana is trending towards being legal in more than half of the states in America, and I would not be surprised if within the next 10 to 20 years it was legalized nationwide. Along with medical marijuana, regular marijuana is starting to become legalized in some states. Washington, Oregon, California, and Alaska are all states that have made recreational marijuana legal, and numerous other states have had votes to legalize it that have not yet passed. Marijuana is becoming more and more accepted nationwide as time goes on. Just like any other controversial and unclear law, there are going to be both positives and negatives. The positives are obviously going to be what good it does for a person when it is used. The main reason that medical marijuana is used is to dull pain, decrease nausea and vomiting, and increase appetite. The main things it is used to treat are things such as headaches, a disease like cancer, or a long-term condition like glaucoma or nerve pain. Along with these things, however, doctors also may prescribe medical marijuana to treat muscle spasms caused by multiple sclerosis, nausea from cancer chemotherapy, poor appetite and weight loss caused by chronic illnesses such as HIV or nerve pain, seizure disorders, or Crohn's disease. There are many doctors who think that medical marijuana is very helpful. Here is an example from Lester Grinspoon, MD, from Emeritus Professor of Psychiatry at Harvard Medical School. He wrote in an August 17, 2003 article published in the Boston Globe, "Doctors and nurses have seen that for many patients, cannabis is more useful, less toxic, and less expensive than the conventional medicines prescribed for diverse syndromes and symptoms, including multiple sclerosis, Crohn's disease, migraine headaches, severe nausea and vomiting, convulsive disorders, the AIDS wasting syndrome, chronic pain, and many others." But on the other end of things, there are negatives to medical marijuana as well. The first and most obvious one is that when ingested via smoke, smoking is obviously not good for you or your lungs. Some other side effects with using this drug that are temporary are dizziness, drowsiness, short-term memory loss, and euphoria. More serious side effects include severe anxiety and psychosis. Some of these side effects can turn into long-term side effects as well, however. And just like there being doctors who are for its use, there are doctors against it. Barry Dworkin, MD, wrote the following article in the Ottawa Citizen on September 9, 2003. The medical marijuana studies raise more questions than they answer. There are too many unknown variables and known serious consequences that increase the risk of patient harm, contravening the do no harm tenet of medical care. Marijuana's legislated use as a prescription drug circumvents standard drug safety protocols and is not the standard of care. There is a safer drug alternative for some patients that mimics THC's effects. I and many other physicians choose not to prescribe marijuana for long-term chronic illnesses based upon this evidence. I cannot prescribe a medication that has the potential over years of use to cause more known harm and health complications in addition to the patient's original condition. We've now looked at the history of the drug, pros and cons of its use, and how states are legalizing medical marijuana more and more. But what do federal statutes have to say about this? The Controlled Substance Act states that marijuana is classified as a Schedule I drug, which means that the federal government views marijuana as highly addictive and having no medical value. Doctors may not prescribe marijuana for medical use under federal law, though they can recommend its use under the First Amendment. At this point in time, federal government does not see any difference between medicinal and recreational marijuana. The DEA is still allowed to arrest people using medical marijuana, although this is not the best use of their time, as they recognize that it is usually doctor-recommended and a lot less dangerous than cocaine, heroin, and other drugs of that nature. All in all, the main issues with medical marijuana is that we do not know enough about it to officially determine whether it is legal or not nationwide. We know some of the effects, both positive and negative, but we are not sure what all of the short-term or long-term effects are because there needs to be more testing done. At this point, we know enough for people to make opinions, but that is about as far as we've gotten. Many states have legalized it because a lot of Americans have grown into the mindset of now, instead of how will this affect me in the future. No one truly knows whether this will end up being completely accepted or completely outlawed nationwide, but as time and research continues, one or the other will most certainly happen. In my opinion, I do not think that the United States is ready to legalize marijuana. I do think that in the future we may have more information that could provide us with the facts that we need to know, but at this point in time, I do not think that we have advanced in research enough to make any decision on it at all. If we do not have enough information to make a decision, I don't think that we should be entering into it at all.